Refugee Action Fund support is important for ACT and organizations like ours, not only because it's timely and necessary, but because it's flexible and responsive. A lot of funders make us jump through a lot of hoops in applying for funding and commit to a lot of their goals. Refugee Action Fund really trusts us to know the best ways to impact the community and respond to the needs of the community and to set really our own goals. And that's enabled us to respond to emerging needs and developing issues in our community in kind of a timely and flexible and agile way. So with support from Refugee Action Fund, we're piloting new programs like a national hotline for African immigrants who may be in places where where ACT doesn't have an office, but where we can help connect them to local resources. Refugee Action Fund support is enabling us to do outreach to a detention center in Texas that is where there are a lot of African immigrants who are poorly served by other immigration legal service providers. Refugee Action Fund is enabling us to advocate all the way down from the grassroots all the way up to the White House on issues affecting Africans and other Black immigrants in the U.S. And it's really empowering and supporting our mission and our communities.
Refugee Action Fund came when we were starting to get funding. Refugee Action Fund was the first people to do a trust-based funding for us. And that was huge because at that time, we were only getting income to disperse, yet we couldn't hire anybody to disperse the money. So when Refugee Action Fund came and, we were able to hire part-time. And I think that seed money started helping us grow, because we had a lot of money to distribute, but we didn't have money for payments.
Just to offer a little bit of context, when you receive a grant, there are strings attached where you have to do reporting, or it's project-based. When it's project-based, it really limits the organization's capacity to envision, to expand, to see new horizons. And I think that Refugee Action Fund, giving that initial investment into an organization as new and as young as Cielo, has really allowed us to increase our capacity and really expand our dreams of what Cielo is and what Cielo became.
One of the biggest impacts of the Refugee Action Fund grants has been just this investment of trust in our model. This idea that what we're doing, which is quite innovative and quite creative and non-traditional, is worth investing in, that people actually feel like what we're doing is good and has merit, even though it's different. And sometimes people say, well, is it scalable? You're not going to buy 1,000 tents for someone with this money, so we're not going to help 1,000 people. Is it scalable? And I think the word scalable is kind of an interesting word, because I think about whether or not we can scale compassion and just a humanitarian vision that's different than what we have now. That is scalable. And certainly it's not necessarily quantifiable, but it's something that we can all contribute to.